Get the latest Impact Podcast right into your inbox each week. Subscribe by entering your email address at impactpodcast.com to make sure you never miss an interview. This episode of the Impact Podcast is brought to you by CO2.com. Companies today are trying to figure out how to achieve high-quality climate credentials. CO2.com is the easy button for any business to go beyond offsetting and fund truly impactful projects across carbon, nature, and community. CO2 provides verified metrics that can be used in reporting and messaging. Have confidence in demonstrating your climate leadership. Go to CO2.com to access quality climate credentials you can trust on the road to net zero and nature positive. Welcome to another edition of the Impact Podcast. I'm John Shigerian. I'm honored to have with us my longtime great friend, David Abel. He's the chairman of ABL Reports and the VerdeXchange. Welcome back to the Impact Podcast, David.
I don't think I can match your enthusiasm, John, but I'm as enthusiastic as you to be here with you on this show.
Well, thank you. And it's an honor to always have you on, and you are just always been a huge inspiration to me in my career and my life. So thank you for everything you do in public service and also on the private side. It's just been an amazing journey to watch your career and also your wonderful wife's career, Brenda Levin, who I had the wonderful opportunity to work with 30 years ago or so. It's just crazy to say the word 30 years, though. It feels like yesterday in so many ways. You know, David, you approached me 16 or so years ago when you were launching the VerdeXchange, and you've done so much work on the public policy side, on the private side, and you sort of melded that all together when you were putting it together. Talk about the VerdeXchange's origin and mission and original audience and how that's evolved over the years.
Well, thank you, John. I'd love to do that. We had just sold a business 16 years ago called Super Shuttle, a global firm that was doing airport transportation. And some people came to me and said, help us fill the void at the convention center. And I was interested in all the subjects that they were interested in, which were energy, water, transport, finance, green build. And we stole some ideas from some very good people, like Governor Schwarzenegger and GE Renewables. And we put together a conference that was global in nature and that was centered around the markets. What's in market, about to be in market, and needed in market in all those sectors, in energy and water and transport, finance, and what you've begun to eloquently talk about, the circular economy and even blue tech. Yeah. And that audience has grown, and we've watched over the 16 years the arc of both policy and the growth of those markets to the point now where the federal government is pushing EVs in a way no one imagined 16 years ago.
Right.
We have people out from DOE that are trying to invest $360 billion of debt in shovel-ready projects in the next 2 years, unheard of 16 years ago. You have policies not just in California, but globally that are dealing with fossil fuels and alternatives. And hydrogen, we have a huge contingent in from Hawaii and Japan and Canada and Australia and the United States related to hydrogen and what its opportunities are in a rainbow of colors, green the most popular in California. We've got transportation investments galore here. We even have a panel, is high-speed rail an illusion or is it real? We're dealing with Brightline, which is building out their train in Florida and now doing a train in California, and high-speed rail here. And our metro, which is one of the largest metros for the county of LA. Well, the county of LA is the largest county in the United States. We have public works projects galore, and we have water projects. And you can appreciate the water projects from your whole history and family and traditions, right. Central Valley and in Los Angeles. But we have global Western states interest in the Colorado, and now that water is utilized. And water is a subject that has interest globally from technology point of view from all over the world. Japan and Israel and Australia, all these countries have technologies that relate to how we better use and manage what we'll call one water. How do we recycle, reuse water, much the way you've done with waste? All those are a major part of the program this year. We even have 3 hydrogen mayors from Hawaii, the county of Hawaii, and Japan, and Lancaster, California on a panel.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on here, and we've become a platform for people to gather together over a couple of days and really compare notes about, again, what's in market, about to be marketed, needed in market, and you're a part of this.
Yeah, well, it's April 30th to May 3rd. And for our listeners and viewers who want to sign up and attend this great and important event, go to Verde, VERDE, then the letter exchange.com, VerdeXchange.org, VerdeXchange.org. David, you know, your conference, though, is far different from the other green conferences I get to go to in my regular travels as a CEO and with my duties at ERI. Explain how you purposefully did that. Why and how is that different from the typical green conferences that are out there?
Well, you hit it right on the nose. We focus on that word markets.
Yeah.
We already deal with policy as it relates to how it's driving or will drive markets.
Right.
And I think I felt that idea personally, that more fits my personality.
Right.
But it also was the subject of the OGE renewable conferences, Eco Imagination conferences, where they'd have 16 CEOs on the panel with the CEO of GE and talking about what the future of the Internet of Things would be. When I first saw that panel in LA at NBC, when they owned NBC Universal, I said, this is not the environmental movement that I knew when I went to college. This is a $1 trillion plus economy 16 years ago.
Right.
So that's been the mantra of our conference. We tried to stay focused on that. Our audience comes looking for insights or to share best in market opportunities, and we've kept it focused on that. So we're not advocating a particular green policy. We've got the Western Oil and Gas Association with us, and we got NRDC with us. So we're really looking at what's in the market and likely to be in the market.
What I also love about your conferences was you've been so good to me and invited me to speak at these and attend and mingle with the great people that you have there, is that it's international flavor. It's just not California based. It's just not even US based. There's a huge contingent from not only Japan and Canada, but from folks around the world, which gives it a real feeling of relevance and the best minds sharing the best ideas.
Well, John, that's a great segue to let me share with you that given that the mayor of LA has just been confirmed as the ambassador to India, we reached out a couple months ago anticipating that and are bringing in a number of tech leaders that have India relationships,
Wow.
and they are dominant in California, and one's with Tata and Michigan CEOs coming out to be with us. So India, Brazil, we have a dinner with the Belgian Consul General, huge contingent from Japan and Canada and the provinces of Canada. So you're right. It's always been meant to be, with the attraction of California's markets, it's a global conference on what's in market in all those sectors.
Now, David, let's play a little game of Sophie's Choice, though. You brought up, the speakers and the topics that you're going to be covering, whether it's energy or water or finance, blue tech, circular economy. You even said there's going to be members of the DOE there talking about, the Investment Recovery Act and that have hundreds of billions of dollars now to allocate in short order. Where do you, in terms of when you think about the strata of importance of these topics, including water, obviously, and recycling black water to getting it back to be drinkable again, how are we supposed to think about the attack and the strata of these, and how do you think about them personally in terms of if you had to choose level of importance and level of sense of urgency that we've got to go at it?
Oh, I'm revealing too much in answering your question, John. I would say this is what disturbs some of my policy friends. I'm interested in the hallways and the social events.
Okay.
I don't want to break down the silos. So you know this from your own business. So yeah. I want the water people to have their day in court, and the water people will be in their panels, but they're literally right next to the transportation people and the circular economy people. And I want them to make their presentation, show their stuff, introduce themselves. But what goes on in the private dinners we have and in the receptions we have, where you get to rub shoulders with other people and see the connectivity between what you're doing and what they're doing, that's the home run for me. So I'm in the hallways, John.
Yeah, and that's for sure. You're always introducing me to people and introducing others to me, and I know that to be very true. In terms of environmental policy, are we doing enough, David? The Biden administration. Have you seen the progress that you envision to hope to see in the 16 years that you've now run this conference? And where are we? If this was a baseball game, are we in the bottom of the second or the top of the eighth?
We're leaving the middle innings.
Okay.
We're in the sixth or seventh inning.
Okay.
I mean, when you have somebody out here trying to share $360 billion to get shovel-ready projects out of the ground, you're not in the first inning.
Okay.
We're not in the ninth inning. We got to figure out how to get these projects from conception into the ground and built and alive. And some of that is happening. But I would say, John, I've watched the arc. I'm impressed by what's happened in California. You have a national, global audience. The California market is ahead of most others in the country and draws globally. So our policies are more mature. They're more advanced. They press and push the agenda, and companies are trying to respond. But the president is in Ireland today talking about EV being a super priority and putting in disincentives and incentives to have that happen. And I'll share one story that relates directly to that in your question. In interviewing the point person for the largest public utility in the country, the LA Department of Water and Power, who will be with us, David Jaco, he said, this year, David, usually we in the public sector are trying to get off the ground projects that fit our agenda. One of those was EV. And in the past, we were stimulating that happening, and it was a very small share of the economy. I will tell you right now, I'm in charge of dealing with that part of what we're doing at the Department of Water and Power, and the markets outstripped our capacity to meet demand. So I've not heard that in the 16 years. So what I'm sharing with you, it goes with what the president said today in Ireland. You've got markets like EVs, you've got what's happening in hydrogen, which is at an earlier phase globally, more advanced than Japan, but they're coming into these markets with the idea of a hydrogen society, and there are 18 companies coming with them at scale. You've got things going on in the water sector because of the 3 years of severe drought in the Colorado that are forcing technology change in terms of how we collect, recycle, and reuse water that meet the standards of Israel and Australia. For all the other markets, they're challenged by that prospect. So there's a lot going on here, but it's the sixth or seventh inning, and we hope we have the pitching staff to get us to the end.
David, you historically in your career have attracted public policymakers and private side of business, and you're the person that people turn to for advice and counsel. It seems as though with things COVID related and post-COVID, California has taken on this reputation of just a place that's tough to do business. Forget about environmental business, tough to do business as a whole. How do we get people over that stigma? Because so many great companies have been born, so many iconic brands have been born in this state and still reside in this state. And as you and I know it, fortunes have been made in this state. How do we get people over that stigma so California is not only reemerges as business friendly, it actually actualizes as business friendly as well?
Well, that's a great question, and there's a push-pull kind of answer. We're going to feature two people at this conference, two entities in this conference, Brightline and Solar Impact. Brightline on the rail side, Solar Impact on the housing side, that are exclusively using private money at scale. Private money at scale. Yeah. And there are lessons to be learned from that. And we want to share them at this conference. On the other hand, we have the entire regulatory leadership over energy coming to the conference from the PUC and the Energy Commission, and the Air Resources Board and CalISO. And they're gonna talk about how they're pushing the agenda through public policy. But they're also trying to connect to the federal government programs like the Hydrogen Hub programs. You have a major infusion of public assets coming here into these sectors that's never been seen before. And it may not be here a decade from now, but they are priming markets here that are going to change the world that you and I know. And I'd almost like to interview you and talk about the circular economy and how you're dealing with that, because we certainly have bills here that are pushing that agenda that are being mimicked by other states and other countries. But where everybody's watching everybody else. I have 17 to 30 council generals that'll be at the conference. They're all monitoring this and sharing what they're seeing with their representative governments and industry. So it's a lot of sharing going on, a lot of learning and taking advantage of market opportunities that are being revealed here on this platform.
This sounds like the most exciting conference you've ever hosted before. Are you more excited about this one than any of the others?
Are we on record, John? Yeah, no, I am. The joke I was going to say is if I can survive it. It's a 5-ring circus. But yes, this is the most dynamic, and if I use the word again for the 15th time, market-ready conference we've ever done. You've got, when you try to underground all PG&E's wiring, you were talking $1 billion. You've got $30 billion of investment just into the airport in Los Angeles. You've got water systems and trade routes being created and hydrogen markets coming. And I'm not talking prospectively like this is a great idea. I'm talking about these are the people coming with the money and the technology and the leadership to try to do it.
Got it. David, I know, you're even though you say it's a 3-ring circus and you're the ringmaster, your energy and your brilliance is boundless. And what's next? Give us a little peek on what's your vision in the months and years to come for the Verde Exchange post this great conference that's coming up on April 30th to May 3rd.
Well, I'm interested to live long enough to take advantage to see the next iteration of these opportunities. Okay. And, I'm married, as you did. We married above our rank, and my wife's archives of 40 years of architecture has just been accepted by the Getty. And so I'm interested, the two of us, being able to take the legacies we've created and see other people scale them. That's on my agenda.
That's so wonderful. And for those listeners and viewers who want to register and sign up and meet David and all the amazing speakers and guests and delegates that he has at this next conference from April 30th to May 3rd in downtown Los Angeles, please go to Verde, VerdeXchange.org, VerdeXchange.org. It's all right there on that page. Lots of the speakers, lots of the topics are there, and also your registration form. David Abel, I love you. You're a long-term friend. We're friends for life. They're over 33 years now, we're friends. And I can't wait to see you on April 30th. And I can't wait to have the honor to speak at your great conference again. Thank you again for coming on the Impact Podcast and sharing the good news about your upcoming great conference.
Thank you, John. I love the opportunity. I love being with you.
Thank you.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Yep. This edition of the Impact Podcast is brought to you by ERI. ERI has a mission to protect people, the planet, and your privacy, and is the largest fully integrated IT and electronics asset disposition provider and cybersecurity-focused hardware destruction company in the United States, and maybe even the world. For more information on how ERI can help your business properly dispose of outdated electronic hardware devices, please visit eridirect.com.